Hey, congratulations! You've decided to buy a ukulele. That's awesome. This video is for you if 2 of the 3 criteria apply. Do you have a music store in your area that carries a good selection of ukuleles? 2, you don't have experience or very much experience in tuning a stringed instrument. And 3, you don't have a lot of experience with the various sizes of ukuleles that are available to you. If you answered true or yes to 2 out of 3 of those questions, then this video is for you. If not, as soon as I get it created, I'm going to have another video for you don't have a music store next to you, or I know how to tune a stringed instrument. So I'll have that video up there for you. Okay, well, let's get started on your adventure. Hi there, I'm looking to buy my very first ukulele. Do you have a good selection of the different sizes of ukuleles, like sopranos, concerts, tenor, baritones? Good selection? Oh, awesome, that's great. And do you have a wide variety of price ranges in that? Fantastic. All right, how late are you open tonight?
Here I am. I am at the local music store here in Fairbanks, Alaska. There's several of them, but this is a special one because this is where I got my very first instrument. My parents bought me a flute here when I was 8, and that changed my life forever. So let's go on in. Can you see that? That's the door opener. So I found the ukuleles, and there's a really good selection here to choose from. This would be typical of what you would find in a music store that would really be able to help you select your very first ukulele. Well, your first consideration is going to be size, because ukuleles come in different sizes. So let's take a look at the most common size that people are most familiar with, the soprano. So this is a soprano ukulele. It kind of fits nice and compactly here against your body. Your hand isn't out too far. I started out with a soprano ukulele, and there are many greats who still play soprano ukuleles as part of their concert set. So it's hard to go wrong with a concert. I have small fingers, so a concert works very well with my size hand. But if your hand is bigger, you might want to consider one of the larger sizes. For comparison, this was the soprano that we looked at. This is a concert size. So let's see if I can do that for you so you can see the difference. I currently play a concert most of the time now. It's just a little bit bigger. There's a little bit more real estate on the fretboard for me to place my fingers. It goes, you have a lot more frets. The neck of the ukulele, this part where you have the frets and where you're going to be chording the strings, it's longer. And so that's just kind of consideration that this one, is got longer. You can go up higher on the fretboard once you get to that level. And it's just a little bit bigger instrument. Got more place to put your fingers. So particularly if your hands are bigger than mine, you might want to start looking at a concert first. There's a size bigger than the concert too. So this is a tenor. So this is the concert size. This is the tenor size. I'll put them like this for you so you can see what that looks like. So even bigger instruments. The tuning on the soprano, concert, and tenor are all the same. You would use the same pitches on the strings. The chords that you would play all would sound the same on these. So a lot of my students really like this tenor size. It's a little bit bigger. Let me put this one down. It's a little bit bigger. So one of the benefits of a tenor size is when you grow with your instrument and you want to go up the neck a little bit further and do some of these specialty chords, you've got a lot more room to place your fingers. And I'm finding that on some of the stuff that I'm doing, I'm grabbing my husband's tenor because I can't even do it on my concert. So that's a consideration to take in when you're picking your first ukulele. But wait, there's more. There is another size. This is a baritone. Now, there are some definite pros and cons with a baritone. The first thing is that if you're going to be looking for online instruction, you'll have to look a lot harder because a baritone it's more like a guitar. The strings are different tuning. And so in my group classes, I'm dealing with tenors, concerts, and sopranos. And if somebody brings a baritone, oh, that makes their life a whole lot harder because I have tailored my instruction to be sequential for the smaller instruments. Lots of people do like the baritone, and because the fingerings, you have to transpose fingerings on them, you might want to think about, okay, if I like that sound, then maybe go for it now because then you won't have to retrain yourself later. However, friends of mine who started out like on a concert, moved to a baritone, some of them can just move seamlessly back and forth, and they've only been playing for a couple years, so it can be done. So once you've got the rundown on the size, just kind of like hold the instrument, try strumming and just even open strings. That's an A minor 7, a perfectly legitimate chord, and just strum it and hold it. See if you like it, kind of get a feel for it. Does it feel comfortable on your body? And just maybe spend, several minutes with each of the sizes and see what feels good for you. Maybe something that you could try to do is a D chord. Now, that's a more advanced chord, but boy, you got to cram all those fingers into the second fret on the first 3 strings, the 3 strings closest to your face. See if you can do that. If not, then you might want to consider using one of the larger sizes. Once you've got a size dialed in, your next consideration in purchasing your very first ukulele is price. And the least expensive ukuleles are generally going to be sopranos, but there are 2 theories on price points for selecting your first ukulele. So let's go over those theories. Price really can make an instrument sound better. Just case in point, this ukulele, $180. So when I play this ukulele, it has a much better sound than the less expensive model. This instrument, which is great for kids, I've had several of my young students play instruments that are just exactly this variety. It's $50. But when you compare the sound, it does sound a little bit more like a toy, but not horrible. It's not bad. It has good gear tuners on it. So if you can see here, these little gears here, you want to try to get your first ukulele that has gear tuners on it, because if you don't, friction tuners, they'll go out of tune a lot faster. And so this will keep you sounding better for longer. So the price theory goes like this. Buy the most expensive ukulele that your budget can afford for your first ukulele. The reason being is that it will last you longer, it'll sound better, you'll feel better about your playing, you'll have more fun with it because it sounds better. And that is a really sound theory to follow. However, you could do it like I did it. I'll tell you about that theory. My first ukulele looked a lot like this. I bought it at a garage sale for $10, and I played it for about 2 months. And by then I was pretty sure that I was ready for a good ukulele because I was practicing it almost daily and I was having a ton of fun with it. So then I went out and purchased the most expensive ukulele that I could afford. And at that point, after 2 months of playing a lower priced instrument, I went out and bought a pretty pretty expensive instrument because I knew that I was worth it, that my fun and happiness was worth it. And you might not know that at this point. And so if you're making a purchase of like $50 on something like this, what you can do is, if you find that it's not for you, you can donate this ukulele to a hospital with a music therapy program, a boys and girls club, a school, or some other charitable organization like your grandkids. So once you've got your size and your price point dialed in, you're going to ask for assistance, because here's where a trained salesperson can really help you. One of the first things you want to ask them is, do a barred chord on this instrument. Most music salespeople have experience with guitars, at least, and some of them with ukuleles, and you're going to want to ask them to do a barred chord. And do some barred chords on it, and then you want to ask them, did that seem like that was an easy barred chord setup for a beginner? And setup's an important word, because they can, even with less expensive ukuleles, they can change the saddle here and they can bring it down so that if it's setting up high, then they can make it easier for you as a beginner. After they played around with the barred chords on this, ask them, was that easy? Would you recommend that for a beginner based on the setup of the instrument? So that can give you some valuable information that can save you a lot of frustration later when you start doing your first barred chord. So if the barred chord prognosis wasn't, no, that isn't really very easy, ask them if they have a luthier on staff, or if they have somebody that can adjust the saddle and make the action on the ukulele a little bit better. So see if they can do something to the instrument, and ask what the cost is. If they can't do that, then maybe that's not the ukulele for you. So once you've picked out the ukulele that you want, I think it would be a really great idea to ask some more questions. So getting your experienced music store salesperson to help you, ask them if the ukulele you've picked out will accept a strap button, and ask them if they would drill a strap button in for you. I know that the music store here, Music Mart, where a lot of my face-to-face students buy ukuleles, they'll put on a strap button. They'll do the work for free. All you have to do is buy the strap button. So they'll put a strap button here, and then they'll put another one here for you. And then, of course, you'll have to ask them, where are the ukulele straps, so that you can play with the strap. I really recommend that for my beginner students, and the people that buy straps are really happy that they did, although I have students that, particularly soprano players, that don't buy straps, and they're perfectly good with that. So either way, I recommend a strap. I play with one, and many of the great pro players, of course they're playing tenors too, they play with straps. Most ukuleles come in a box. Some of the higher end ones are going to come with a soft gig bag with them, which is a case. And so it's a case that's not hard, but it does provide some protection when you travel. And so that's a good question to ask. Does the ukulele come with a case? Let's see what this one has just a soft little protection in here. So this is even one of the lower end ones. So it's got a little something to put it in. I know that I carried mine around for 2 months, just threw it in a duffel bag. But cases are pretty darn handy. So your second accessory to buy would be a case. An important accessory is a tuner. Now, I have a tuner on my phone, and it's okay. I prefer to have a clip-on type of tuner. I don't know if you can see what that looks there on the box, something like this. The reason a clip-on tuner is advantageous is because when you go to a uke jam, which I hope you're doing, you can clip it right onto your headstock, and it will pick up the vibrations as well as the sound of your ukulele. So tuner, good accessory to have. Classically trained musician, I always have a music stand. I know people that don't, but you might want to consider picking up a music stand too. If you live in an area where it's dry, like hot and dry, like in a desert, like Utah or something like that, or if you live in an area where you're going to have a furnace on during the winter, during most of the winter, you are definitely going to want to get a humidifier, and you want to get one that's specific to a ukulele, and it's going to help protect your instrument. So the more money you spend on your ukulele, the more you want to protect it, because humidity really does have an effect on the instrument. Before you take your brand new ukulele home, here's what you need to do. Ask the salesperson to tune it for you. And actually, that's one of the big advantages. If you're in a good music store and you're going to pick up a ukulele and you're going to find that it's already, somebody's been tuning them. They go around and tune these on a regular basis. And you want to make sure that when you get yours home and you're doing your very first tuning, I've got a link up here on how to do that, that you will just be making really small adjustments instead of having to really make huge adjustments, because that's where many beginners have lots of problems. And that's why I recommend that if you have a reputable music store in your area, that's the best place for you to go to purchase your very first ukulele. So please leave me a comment down below. Did you buy a ukulele? What did you get? Did you find this video helpful? I would really appreciate your feedback on that. So until next time, I'll sign off and keep spreading that ukulele love.